There comes a point in life when you grow tired of chasing people who do not value you, tired of comparing yourself, tired of looking for approval, tired of forcing yourself into spaces where you were never meant to belong. And then something shifts. You wake up and you begin to understand something you could not see before. Real strength is not about convincing the world of your worth. Real strength is what you do with yourself when no one is watching. Without explanation, without performance. Just moving forward day after day in silence. I am not here today to tell you to go change the world. I am here to remind you that everything starts with you. Real change does not come from the outside. It is born within. The Stoics understood this better than anyone, because the person who has learned to find stillness within themselves no longer needs to control what lies beyond it. In this video, you will discover 8 Stoic lessons that will help you focus on yourself, grow in silence, and stop spending your energy on things that are not yours to carry. These are not just words. These are reminders that have the power to change your life. Stay with me until the end, because this video did not reach you by accident. This is a message meant for you, arriving at exactly the moment you needed it most. Before we begin, I want to ask you to do something simple but powerful. Go to the comments and write this. Real change begins within me. I am a Stoic. Writing those words is not just a gesture. It is a quiet declaration of loyalty to yourself. Now, let us begin. Lesson 1. Recognize your own worth. Listen carefully. Before the world placed a label on you, before anyone told you that you were not enough, before the comparisons, the rejections, the quiet moments of self-doubt, you were already worthy. Not because of what you had achieved, not because of who approved of you, not because you outperformed someone else. You were worthy simply because you existed. But no one teaches us this. We are raised with the belief that our value is tied to what we produce, how much applause we receive, or how many people choose us. And this is precisely where the damage begins, because we grow up emotionally dependent on others, waiting for someone to hand us the one thing only we can give ourselves: recognition. Marcus Aurelius understood this clearly. He wrote that a person's true wealth lives in their soul, not in what others think of them. When you do not recognize your own worth, you live like someone begging at a table that was always yours. You wait for scraps of love, attention, and affirmation, when in truth, you have always carried everything you need. Think of a seed. From the outside, it looks small, insignificant. But inside that seed is an oak tree, strong, deep-rooted, built to endure storms. Your courage is the same. It may not always be visible, but it is there, waiting to be recognized not by others, but by you. It does not grow from applause. It grows from self-acceptance. Remember, a Stoic does not lose themselves over the opinion of others, because they know their character lives not in what people say, but in how they act. Eleanor Roosevelt once said that no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Even beyond Stoicism, this truth holds. You decide whether the thoughts of others lift you or hold you down. You decide whether to focus on what you lack or on what you already are. Do not forget yourself. Do not make yourself wait for someone else's permission. Make peace with your story, with your wounds, with your process. Everything you have lived through has brought you here. Perhaps you needed this reminder. Perhaps today is the day to stop searching for confirmation outside of yourself and instead look at your own reflection. No audience, no performance, and say quietly, "I am not perfect, but I am on my way, and that is already enough." Say it not for anyone else. Say it for yourself, in silence, without proof, without explanation. Let your inner energy speak for you, without a single word. Lesson 2. Discover what real self-love means. But not the kind that is marketed to you on social media. Here is a truth that almost no one speaks out loud. Real self-love is not indulgence. It is not a carefully filtered photograph with a motivational caption underneath. It is not the soft, glowing version of yourself that performs healing for an audience. Real self-love is honesty. It is discipline. It is the ability to sit with yourself during the hardest moments without abandoning who you are. Real self-love is not always comfortable. Sometimes it looks like a silent struggle with everything you once believed about yourself. You were taught to love others, to care, to give, to accommodate. But no one taught you how to return to yourself, how to listen to yourself, how to hold yourself, especially when you feel like you are not enough. Real self-love is deep. It is quiet. It is brave. Imagine that you are an ocean. From the surface, others can see your waves, sometimes calm, sometimes rough. But no one except you can dive to the bottom. Down there live your fears, your wounds, your memories, your forgotten dreams. Exploring self-love means having the courage to dive deep, not to judge what you find, but to understand it, not to fix it immediately, but to accept it, to welcome all of yourself, both the light and the shadow. The Stoics did not use the phrase self-love, but they lived it. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul takes on the color of its thoughts. In other words, what you think about yourself becomes your inner reality. If you speak to yourself harshly, you become cold from the inside. But if you cultivate thoughts of dignity about yourself, you become stronger and more at peace. True self-love is born when you no longer need someone else to confirm your worth. When you recognize yourself, even when no one is clapping. When you choose to care for yourself not to please others, but because you understand deeply that you matter. You do not need grand rituals. Just stop. Pause. Listen to yourself without judgment. Ask yourself, what do I need today? Which part of myself am I ignoring? What words would I want to hear? And why am I not saying them to myself? Start with small, honest actions. Sleep well. Say no when something drains you. Stop apologizing for taking up space. Surround yourself with what genuinely nourishes you, and move away from what exhausts you. That, too, is self-love. Perhaps no one has told you this enough lately, but you are worth it. Not because of what you do, not because of what you own, but simply because you exist. If no one has reminded you of this recently, I am here to remind you now. You deserve to be treated well. Not only when things are going smoothly, but especially when you feel most broken inside. Do not wait for the world to recognize your value. Begin with yourself, and do it quietly, deliberately, every single day. Because no one else will ever live inside you, only you. Lesson 3. Protect your time and your solitude. We live in a world that makes us feel guilty for being alone. If you do not reply immediately, if you go quiet for a few days, if you choose to stay in instead of going out, something must be wrong with you. That is the unspoken message. But let me tell you something important. Solitude is not a punishment. It is a privilege. And time is the most sacred resource you have. Most of us race from one thing to the next, as if life is an endless to-do list. But when was the last time you were truly alone with yourself, and it did not frighten you? Imagine your mind as a lake. When you are constantly surrounded by noise, urgency, and distraction, that lake becomes unsettled, turbulent. You cannot see through it. But when you choose stillness and solitude, the water calms. And only then can you see all the way to the bottom. That is where you actually find yourself, not in the noise, but in the silence. Seneca said it plainly. The problem is not that we have too little time. The problem is that we waste too much of it. And this is true. We spend our lives worrying about what we do not have, while barely noticing what actually belongs to us. This moment, this breath, this day. Consider a common morning. You wake up, reach for your phone before you have even fully opened your eyes. Endless scrolling, notifications. 2 hours pass. You still have not eaten. You have not made any real progress. And your mind is already full of emotional noise that does not belong to you. And the most serious loss is not the 2 hours. It is the presence, the awareness, and the quiet strength you gave away before the day even began. Now imagine using that same time differently. Writing down what you feel. Walking alone, without a destination. Thinking. Not planning, not optimizing, just allowing yourself to feel that you are alive. I know that silence can hurt sometimes. I know that being alone can feel frightening. But I also know this. Fear is a doorway. And on the other side of it is a stronger, more grounded, freer version of you. Marcus Aurelius wrote that perfect peace lives in the good ordering of the mind, in your own inner kingdom. And that kingdom is built in solitude, without crowds, without applause, just you and your time. Begin to honor it. Make your time a temple and your solitude an ally. Because only when you learn to be honest with yourself in silence will you become truly unshakable. Lesson 4. Be ready to walk away. There is a truth that is difficult to accept, but necessary. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people come to teach you something. Some come to keep you company for a season. And some come only to show you what you do not deserve. But there comes a moment when growing up becomes painful, because growing up also means walking away. Not out of pride, not out of anger, but out of respect for your own peace, your energy, and your process. The people closest to you shape the quality of your inner life. Stay close to those who lift your spirit, and gently, quietly, put distance between yourself and those who pull you downward. This may sound harsh, but consider what happens when you stay in the wrong environment. The soul does not flourish from hunger or cold air. It is drained by people, by those who dim your light, who draw out your peace, who make you feel like you have to fight just to be seen. Imagine you are a plant. Like any living thing, you need sunlight, water, and space to grow. But if someone places you in a corner where no light reaches, or floods your roots until you begin to drown, or crowds you so tightly that you cannot stretch, you will wither. It is not weakness that causes this. It is simply the wrong environment. The same is true for you. Choosing to walk away from what will not let you grow is not selfishness. It is emotional survival. I am certain this has happened to you. You pour everything you have into someone. You send the messages, you offer the plans, you show up with support. And on the other side, silence. Or worse, half answers and lukewarm energy. And you find ways to excuse their distance, convincing yourself that this is just how people are, that you should accept it. But here is what you need to understand. You were never meant to force your presence into someone else's life. Real connection is never begged for. Real respect is never extracted. It is either offered freely or it is not there. And when it is not there, it is time to create space for those who genuinely value your existence. The Stoics practiced what they called apatheia, not emotional numbness, but freedom from what lies outside your control. You cannot control how others love you. You cannot control whether they stay or go, whether they see you or overlook you. But you can control this: your decision to remain somewhere that makes you feel less than yourself. And in that, you must be completely honest with yourself. Not every connection is healthy. Not every declaration of love is genuine. Not every "I am here for you" is real. Sometimes, to find yourself again, you must let go of certain people. Not because you stopped caring, but because you are needed more by yourself. Walk away not in bitterness, but in peace. Not with resentment, but with quiet self-respect. Because life is too short to remain in places where your presence is taken for granted, where your light is minimized, where your soul contracts instead of expands. And yes, at first it will hurt. But then you let go, you breathe, and you remember who you are. Lesson 5. Become emotionally self-sufficient. There is a kind of freedom that very few people ever discover. It is not found in money. It is not found in travel or in having thousands of people around you. This freedom is born on the day you become enough for yourself. The day you stop depending emotionally on someone else's approval. The day you no longer need applause to keep moving forward. That is the day you become truly free. Deep within you, there is a source that will never run dry, if you learn to use it. That source is you. Your integrity, your inner strength, your ability to rise when life shakes you. Think of a lighthouse. It stands at the edge of everything, surrounded by storms, wind, and darkness. But it never stops shining. It does not care whether the sea is calm or violent. It does not need the approval of passing ships to turn its light on. It simply does what it was built to do: guide, illuminate, stand. That is what it means to be emotionally self-sufficient. To know who you are, to understand your worth, and to keep your light on, even when no one acknowledges it. There have been days when you gave more than you received. Days when you lived on hope and were left with nothing. You listened, you showed up, you were there, and when you needed someone, no one came. It is easy in those moments to collapse, to feel crushed, to ask, "What is wrong with me?" But that is precisely the lesson. You cannot allow your sense of worth to rise and fall based on how others treat you. Your peace cannot be a toy in someone else's hands. You did not come here to beg for emotional scraps. The respect you are searching for begins with you. The security you are looking for is born inside you. Epictetus was enslaved. Yet despite having no physical freedom, he became one of the greatest teachers of inner freedom that has ever existed. He made clear that the only truly free person is not the one who depends on no one, but the one who can honestly say, "I am enough." And what does that mean in practice? It means you can be alone without feeling empty. It means you can face rejection without it breaking you. It means you can enjoy good company as a gift, not a lifeline. When you become emotionally self-sufficient, no one has the power to collapse you. You become like a strong tree that no longer trembles at every wind. You no longer need to belong to anyone, because you already belong to yourself. And from that wholeness, you can choose to love, to accompany, to share. Not because you are desperate for connection, but because you have decided to. Lesson 6. Learn to say no. It is just 2 letters. But understand this. It is one of the most important decisions you can make for yourself. Saying no is not selfishness. It is care. It is the art of protecting your energy. It is the quiet act of self-respect that happens the moment you decide your peace is worth more than pleasing everyone around you. I am sure this has happened to you. You are invited somewhere. You are exhausted. Your mind is asking for rest. But you feel the guilt rise up. I don't want to look difficult, you think. And so you go, wearing a smile that does not belong to you, giving what you do not have, all for the sake of keeping the peace. While inside, all you wanted was quiet. That is saying yes to everyone else and no to yourself. And when that becomes a habit, you begin to fade, slowly, quietly, without anyone noticing. Not even you. Remember, the person who tries to please everyone ultimately becomes controlled by everyone. We often confuse kindness with submission. But you did not come into this life to be an emotional doormat. You came here to grow, to learn, to live with intention. And for that, you need space. You need silence. You need the power of choice. When you say no, something changes. You earn respect, first from others, but most importantly from yourself. You reclaim time and energy for what actually matters. You become a more deliberate, focused, grounded person. Because saying no is a quiet act of courage and of freedom. Here is something worth sitting with. Every time you say yes to everyone without thought, you lose a small part of yourself. And if you do it too often, you forget who you are, what you want, and what you actually feel. Learning to say no does not mean building walls. It means building a sacred inner space, a kind of inner temple, a place where only what nourishes your soul is allowed to enter, a place where you decide who comes in, who stays, and what may no longer cross your threshold. So I want to leave you with this thought today. Do not be afraid of disappointing others if it means staying true to yourself. Because when you learn to say no, you are really saying yes to yourself. Lesson 7. Care for yourself inside and out. Take care of yourself. Not because the world demands it, not because someone is watching. Take care of yourself because you are worth it, because your body is your home and your mind is your sanctuary. If you do not protect them, who will? We live in a world that teaches us to look outward. How you appear, what you own, what you have accomplished. But almost no one stops to ask, how is your soul doing? How do you speak to yourself when no one else is listening? How do you treat yourself in the quiet moments? The Stoics did not separate body from mind. For them, caring for one meant caring for both. Epictetus observed that no free person should be enslaved to their own body through neglect. And yet many of us are. We demand an enormous amount from ourselves mentally while forgetting the body. Or we push the body relentlessly while ignoring the quiet signals of the mind. Think of an archer. The body is the bow. The soul is the arrow. The purpose is the target. If the bow is warped or weakened, it does not matter how well crafted the arrow is, it will not fly far. And if you have a strong body but a hollow inner life, what is the point of the rest? Caring for yourself, inside and out, is the act of sharpening the soul and strengthening the body so that they move together in alignment. Think of the days when you eat poorly, when you sleep badly, when you skip movement, when you give yourself no stillness. And then you ask, why do I feel so low? Why can I not concentrate? Why does everything feel heavy? The answer is often found in the quiet neglect you have allowed. It was not punishment. It was a lack of attention to yourself. Caring for yourself is not only about doctor's appointments or exercise. It is also about putting down the phone when your mind needs rest. It is about stopping the harsh internal commentary. It is about saying to yourself, I'm here for me. I am not going to abandon myself anymore. Marcus Aurelius wrote that what brings no benefit to the hive brings no benefit to the bee. In the same way, what brings no benefit to you brings nothing of real value to the world. Because you cannot be a good friend, a good parent, a good partner, a good human being when you are empty, when you are exhausted, when you are running on fumes. Caring for yourself is not a luxury. It is a responsibility to yourself and to everyone your life touches. It means giving yourself what you need to remain steady, so that you can offer something real to others without collapsing in the process. You cannot build a strong life while neglecting the foundation. And the foundation is you, your habits, the way you speak to yourself, your relationship with your own body and mind. Caring for yourself inside and out is not vanity. It is a commitment. It is understanding that your energy, your focus, and your presence all depend on how you treat yourself when no one is watching. Make peace with your body, respect your mind, and never forget that your inner well-being shows up in everything you create on the outside. Lesson 8. Embrace your imperfections. Look at yourself in the mirror, not with judgment, not with criticism. Look at yourself with compassion. That line on your face, that old scar, that mistake you have not yet forgiven yourself for, that moment that broke you open, all of it is you. And do you know what? You do not need to hide it. You do not need to fix all of it. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to be real. There is a Japanese practice called kintsugi. When a piece of pottery breaks, it is not thrown away. It is repaired with gold. The cracks are not hidden, they are highlighted. The message is this: your wounds do not take away your value, they add to it. Because each one tells a story. Each one is proof that you kept going, that you chose to remain no matter what. Stoicism speaks to this same truth. It is not about becoming a machine without flaws. It is about becoming a stronger person because you acknowledge your flaws and integrate them, rather than running from them. How many times have you felt pressure to appear stronger than you are? To smile while you felt like you were coming apart inside? We wear masks so naturally that we barely notice anymore. And the irony is, everyone has their struggles. Everyone carries something hidden, but no one wants to show it. The result is that people feel deeply alone, unseen, disconnected. Real connection is born in the moment someone has the courage to say, "I am not perfect either, but I am still here." Perhaps you made a mistake in the past, made a decision you regret, hurt someone or hurt yourself, and since then you have been carrying the weight of it, replaying it, asking yourself over and over, "How could I have done that?" But the past does not change under the force of self-condemnation. It transforms through awareness, through responsibility, and through a generous dose of honesty and self-compassion. This is not about excusing what happened. It is about using that experience as a lesson, not as a verdict. If something still hurts inside you, work through it. Grow, learn, and move forward. That is what it means to accept your imperfection, not to be stuck in who you were, but to let who you were become the foundation for who you are becoming. Accepting your imperfection is not surrender. It is maturity. It is understanding that you did not come here to be flawless. You came here to be genuine. When you release the need to appear perfect, something more powerful arrives: peace. And when you accept yourself as you truly are, you quietly give others permission to do the same. So do not hide. Do not close yourself off. You are not a finished creation. Everything you are, everything you have lived, deserves to be seen. If this message resonated with you, I'd love to hear which of these 8 lessons speaks to you most right now. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. If this kind of content genuinely helps you, subscribing and turning on notifications means you will not miss what comes next. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for your time and your trust. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.